The second goal was really to raise awareness of the state of the earth and where we are at, and that we need to do something now. And if we don't, we're all really fucked.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm all right.
All right.
What's going on with GottaRunRacing, you ask?
Well, it's an exciting week because we run the north.
We run the north. We're in La Belle Provence, La Mauricie National Park.
Cool.
In Quebec.
I can't wait to check that one out.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
And you get to go there all year round.
It's an all-season park for sure. I learned this week that there is ice climbing there. You can take some lessons and do some ice climbing. They have cross-country skiing. And then they have all the typical summer stuff that you would do. But 150 lakes within this park.
Cool.
And it's not far from Montreal.
And that's the Canadian National Park virtual.
We run the north.
We run the north.
Check it out.
Still happening.
Still happening.
And what is going on with the Monarch virtual?
Monarch virtual. Well, we did a mailing of our first grouping of participants this week, and they got this lovely medal. If you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see it.
Cool.
Double-sided. Get a lovely neck gaiter and matching bib. And we're hoping that we get 430 participants to each run, walk, hike, bike, 10K each. Post your results on Race Roster, and we're going to move that butterfly 4,300 kilometers, which represents
the migration of the Monarch
butterfly
from Mexico to
Canada,
Peterborough,
every spring.
Cool.
It's incredible.
And who's on the podcast today?
Well, speaking of the Monarch, we have the founder, the brainchild behind the Monarch Ultra, Carlotta James from Peterborough, Ontario. And she's going to tell us what ultra running and monarch butterflies have in common, where the passion comes from, and what we're doing in 2021 for the relay.
Cool. Coming up.
Carlotta James, welcome to the podcast. You're currently in Peterborough, Ontario. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. And you are a landscaper.
Yes, I try to say now wildscaper, landscaper, or we say eco-landscaper, because landscaper is more traditional, and, landscapers plant plants that we don't always agree with. And so, whereas eco-landscapers try to work with the natural habitat as much as possible and plant native plants for pollinators. And we also try to use organic compost and mulch, and we use our body strength. We don't use any machines whatsoever. So that's kind of the difference, I guess, between eco-landscaping and landscaping.
I never knew that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah. A lot of landscapers use mulch and wood chips that are colored like red, black, and brown, and that sends poisons into the earth. And so it's bad for pets. It's bad for you. If you have food, for example, it puts chemicals into your food. And then when it rains, those chemicals go into our sewers and into our waterways. So it's not great. And then using machines to plant gardens, you're also destroying the microorganisms in the soil. And it's also noise pollution for all the bugs and butterflies and birds. So
that's true.
Wow. It's much harder work, but
what's the name of your company?
It's Three Sisters Natural Landscapes.
Okay. All right.
Find us on Instagram.
Of course. I'll put that logo right up here.
Do it. It's a beautiful logo.
Awesome. Well, I think it's fair to say that you're also pretty passionate about the monarch butterflies. So take us back to, when did that happen for you? What sort of precipitated that love?
I think since I was a little girl, I've always loved flowers and butterflies. My mom said that my first word was flower in Spanish, though, which is flor. First language was Spanish. And so I've always just been enamored by these beautiful plants that smell so nice and bring so much joy to so many people's lives. And so about 7 years ago, when I moved to Peterborough, I started an organization called Peterborough Pollinators, or I co-founded it. And so we started building pollinator gardens for schools and community groups in public spaces, so that we could start the conversation about how important pollinators were, and especially because they're in decline, all across the world. And so I started to learn more about monarch butterflies and swallowtails and other gorgeous flying insects. And so once that journey and connection started, it just happened naturally. I was, running in Peterborough along our trails, and I would see monarch butterflies, and I would just think about their journey and what an epic journey, and what they had to go through as an insect without any support, like what we have, the kind of supports that we have when we trail race or road race. And so in 2016, I remember that year specifically because we had a drought across Ontario. We didn't have rain for like 2 months. And everybody's lawns who had grass, they totally dried up. And the people with gardens, they still thrived because pollinator gardens still thrive in drought-like conditions. They're used to that climate. And so I was running on the Trans-Canada Trail, and that's when I saw some butterflies. And it was a really special moment because they came at the same time as I was just thinking about our ecosystem and what it meant, like, to go through climate change and these environmental issues that we're faced with. And so as I was running, monarch butterflies were flying with me. And so that's when the idea hit me. It was like a light bulb. And I thought, from that moment, I started thinking, I would love to follow their migration by following it on foot, by running the whole migration. And so I remember I ran far that day. I think I ran like 20 kilometers, and then I raced home, and then I got out like a big piece of paper, and I just started writing all the ideas that I had while I was running. But it essentially was that. It was to follow their migration from Peterborough to Mexico, and to really understand what they went through, and for that experience and that adventure of following the monarch butterflies. But then also as a serious call to action that we were going to run for monarch butterflies, but we wanted all these communities to understand why we were running and to get them excited and involved and, motivated to do something positive, and not just for monarch butterflies, for all pollinators. I have said that before, and I'll say it again. A monarch is a pollinator. So once you do something positive for one species, you actually do something positive for all species. Because once your relationship deepens with nature, you start to understand that everything is interconnected. If you're going to save one forest, you realize that the other forests are just as important. So that's how it started in 2016. And I just kept working on it and wanting to also create a documentary as a way to tell their story and the runners' stories. And it was a few years later when I met some folks to work on this project with, and I pitched it to them, and they were really excited, like Clay Williams and Rodney Fuentes. And then the year of 2019 came, and so we were ready to run their migration after we'd created their route and, started contacting conservation organizations and mayors and municipalities and schools and trying to figure out who will support us as we're running this 4,000 kilometer journey. And we just found that so many folks were super excited about it, and they wanted to get involved and share their stories and support us. So that's how it happened. And then it happened, and you guys were a part of it, of course, which was amazing. And now our friendship continues to this day, which is one of the most beautiful parts of it, is the domino effect that it's had since then. So
I was trying to remember, because Norm asked me today, leading up to the podcast, he said, how did you even find out about the monarch? And I think it was one of those crazy things where I had just seen the David Suzuki Nature of Things episode, where they were talking about the Canadian zoologist Frederick Urquhart, who had somehow managed to tag some butterflies and track their migration to Mexico. And I was in complete awe I had no idea that that's even, like, I knew they migrated, but I had no idea the details behind it. And then within, a week or two of seeing that, I saw the relay it must have been on Facebook.
No way.
Yeah. And when I looked at it,
serendipitous.
yeah. And then when I looked at the map and I thought, oh, this would be a pretty epic thing to do on we share a birthday's 5 days apart. And I noticed that on my birthday in October, you guys were going to be in Austin, Texas, and Norm and I had talked about going to Austin. So it just seemed like it had to happen. So that's how I had found out about it. And I'm so grateful that we did, because it's now like you said, it's snowballed into a bigger relationship, which we'll talk about shortly.
But yeah, so it was like 2016 to 2019, but the first phase was the dream stage, and then the planning stage, and then the doing it stage, kind of like the flying stage, kind of like the Monarch butterfly. I always think of it, looking at the cycles of the Monarch butterfly. And so the egg stage was the dream stage.
Yeah.
And then the caterpillar, like the eating and getting super fat, and eating again and getting really fat again, because they just keep shedding their skin, when they go through their transformation. And so that was like the planning stage, and like trying to make it happen and advertise to the world about it. Because when you have a new idea, I'm sure you guys know, like with GottaRunRacing, it's a lot of it is marketing and promoting. You got to write about it. You got to call people about it. You got to blog. You got to get in newspapers and TV shows, because it's new. So it's like, who are you? We don't care. Convince me, sort of thing.
Yep.
So a lot of it was that. But I'm a pretty good. Yep.
I like to talk about the logistics of this event, because we are event planners ourselves. So we know what's involved, the stress.
In a one-day event.
We know the stress involved with just that. But we also know directors who put on 100-milers. We know the directors of Primal Quest who put on 14-day expedition adventure racing.
Okay.
And then here you are putting on an event 4,000 kilometers long, spanning 3 countries, and not just touching on a country like UTMB, it just touches the country, but you're going right through a country deep into another. I can't wrap my head around the logistics of a director, the sleepless nights and everything else. So please tell me, as a director, how do you do this logistically? What do you think about? I'm in shock here.
I would say, I know this is going to sound silly, but Excel spreadsheets are amazing because you can organize, minute by minute, day to day, runners, the parties, the accommodation, the places where you're going to run through, where you're going to have rest stops, because we also provided 10 kilometer aid stations every single day that we ran 100K. So Excel spreadsheets are amazing for that. I mean, it was a logistical nightmare at the same time. We did run into a lot of issues. We had a lot of sleepless nights. Sometimes I'd go to bed at 12 and I'd wake up at 4:30. I probably ran on 4 hours of sleep for the whole journey. I don't know how I was okay at the end of it, but I was also like flying on the energy of like making this impossible thing possible. So it was a massive dream come true. It was a crazy, crazy year. When we got back from the Monarch Ultra, I remember, I think I didn't leave my house for a month. I was like, I can't see people. I can't talk to anybody. I had like zero energy left in me because I gave it all to the project,
Right.
Well, I like
but
the way,
yeah,
I like how you asked yourself the question, not that you didn't say it can't be done, but you asked yourself, how can this be done? Once you ask yourself, how can this be done? Then your brain starts to work. It doesn't shut down.
Yeah.
And that's whenever we come up with a project ourselves, we figure out, how can this happen? And then we make it happen.
Yeah. And I think you kind of nailed it too there, Carlotta, when you said that you seeked out people like Clay and Rodney who were the experts of the things that you didn't want to or weren't an expert in. And that's so important when you're putting a team together, is to acknowledge their strengths and weaknesses, and then find that person that loves to that particular challenge on. I think that's how you create the best possible team, right? So,
well, like you. Like you, exactly why we're working with you. You're amazing.
Oh,
you're like top of the line.
Well, I'm honored to be part of it for sure for this year. Absolutely. So what did you want to achieve at the end of the day? You've paired long distance runners with pollinator and conservation efforts. What is the ultimate goal? And I know it's never going to stop because you've told me that before. It's never going to end. So what's the goal?
I think there's a few goals. The first one is unity, to bring our three countries together. This was planned during the Trump administration, and that was such a dark time for the whole continent, for the whole world. And so when that was happening, I would be really angered a lot of the time and depressed at his policies, the words that came out of his mouth, his actions, his attitude. And so I thought, instead of feeling depressed about things, I wanted to do something positive. So I really saw the Monarch Ultra as a positive action to someone like Trump, who was really creating massive divisions and walls. Like literally, he was building a wall between America and Mexico. So I thought that the Monarch Ultra could be a way of connecting these three countries, because the monarch migration does that. They've been migrating for thousands and thousands of years, yet Trump thinks that building a wall will stop people from coming in and out, but monarchs will keep migrating no matter what. And so I think that was the first goal, was to create this sense of unity between the three countries, and looking at wildlife and seeing what are their migratory routes and how can we be more connected because of the migration. The second goal was really to raise awareness of the state of the earth and where we are at, and that we need to do something now, and if we don't, we're all really fucked, really. So sorry for my language, but we all need to wake up. And if we don't wake up, then everything that we see around us, the things that we love, the air that we breathe, the beautiful lakes that we swim in, the birds, the bees, everything will disappear, and things are disappearing. So it was a love letter to the earth and to people to do something positive. So during the 2019, this whole expedition that's been on, what interesting stories can you come up with at the top of your head that is, I don't know, there's some are funny, some sad, unexpected, or anything interesting happened along this journey for yourself or for your crew? Well, there's every single day, Norm, was hilarious and interesting, and well, besides meeting up. Well, of course, and the beautiful friendship that followed.
I remember hearing that you had unexpected support in Mexico, that people were just, there were so many more people that came out to support the runners than there were in either Canada or the States, which is really cool.
Yeah. Mexicans love to celebrate. And so basically every weekend there's a party, there's a celebration, there's a festival every weekend. And I'm not exaggerating. And so when they found out about the Monarch Ultra, about this team of runners that came all the way from Canada, they went ballistic. And they just wanted to show us what a beautiful country they have and what a beautiful culture. But they're also, Mexican people are really generous and salt of the earth as well. And so, they were ambassadors for their own country. They wanted to show, this is our amazing country, welcome, because they're so hospitable. And so basically every day that we were there, they had organized big events that, were really humbling, because Canada and the States, we have so much money and we have so many more things than other countries. And and so for us, they showed real leadership in wanting to welcome us, but also to show how cool their country is, and not just how cool, sorry, that sounds, but like what a leader they are in environmental initiatives and specifically protecting monarch butterflies.
Now, where did the
yeah.
relay end? Did you actually end in one of the places where the monarchs winter?
Overwinter. Yeah. The village is called Macheros. It's in the state of Mexico. And the sanctuary is called the Cerro Pelon Monarch Butterfly Sanctuary. And you had mentioned Fred Urquhart before. This is the sanctuary where that monarch butterfly was found. The first tagged monarch butterfly was in Cerro Pelon. So it's a really special place. But it's also not as famous as the other sanctuaries, which are in Michoacan. And that's because those sanctuaries are really supported by the Mexican government, whereas Cerro Pelon is not really that supported. And it's also really difficult to get to because you have to traverse crazy steep mountains, and it's just far from any large municipality. And so we wanted to highlight that sanctuary because we developed a close relationship with that community, and also the people that are running a nonprofit called Butterflies in Their People. And so, they told us, they invited us, they said, come to our town, finish your run here, finish your documentary here. And so, we decided, after looking at all the other sanctuaries, which are pretty famous, that already had a lot of government support in tourism, to end it there because of their really ecotouristic ways as well. They really try to protect the sanctuaries. And so, for example, one year they'll have people go up on one side of the sanctuary and then the next year on the other side, so that you're not always walking the same path, because, having people in sanctuaries also destroys it, because you're there. Human beings just do that, and so their principles were really aligned with ours. So yeah, we ended in Macheros, which is a village of 400 people. And when we arrived, and when we arrived, I mean, it was really like, I don't know, there's no feeling on earth like that we'd finally arrived to this destination, planning and dreaming and thinking about it for so long. And when we arrived, they had all these school kids dressed in big monarch butterfly wings. They did some beautiful dances to welcome us. There were boys in cowboy outfits on horses. I mean, they looked pretty badass. And then all the different the different leaders of the different municipalities and conservation groups were there as well. And so it was a really gracious welcome. And then that night they threw a big party, with
of course
food. Yeah. With food that they'd been cooking for a week. It was beautiful. And they hired a mariachi band and everyone was out, and it was a powerful, powerful feeling. And if you haven't been to the sanctuary, I mean, it's something to witness once in your life, to see that many monarch butterflies all at once, all together, fluttering around you. It's so powerful.
Let's talk about the relay of 2021 now.
Yeah, definite big pivot there, right?
Yep. I mean, I think, I'm actually so excited about it. We have to be excited. You have to, when you get lemons, you make lemonade. And that's what COVID is. It's put a big hitch, is that the right word, in our dreams, in our project. But instead of seeing it as something to stop us from doing what we want to do, we just decided to reroute the route and stay in Southern Ontario instead. And that's because we can't cross international borders. And when we made this decision last year, the States was in a real bad place. They had 200,000 new cases every single day, 3,000 deaths every single day. So it just felt like a really unsafe place. And so because it's such an epic project to plan, we had to make the decision last year to not run to Mexico. We see this run as just as epic. It's 21 days, so it's not 7 weeks, but it's still 3 weeks. It's still a really long journey. And we're going to be on some beautiful trails. We're running only the Trans-Canada and only the Waterfront Trail. And so we get to see what those trails look like, and meet all the different folks that live along the trails. And, you know, we've been in communication with a lot of the mayors, a lot of the municipalities, a lot of conservation groups. It's been a lot of, you know, communication and emails and presentations and outreach from the moment that we decided that we were staying here. So, and so far, I mean, we have more runners this year than we did 2 years ago. That's right. Also thanks to Jody McNeil, who's amazing direct. Yeah. I mean, I was just talking about you, Jody, the other day, and I'm just so thankful that our lives crossed.
Me too. Absolutely. So excited.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed that we're staying in Southern Ontario and we're covering 1,800 kilometers.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I know. And 60 municipalities, 60 cities.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It is huge.
60 of the most important cities in Southern Ontario. So yeah, and it's only 50K. I mean, monarchs fly 4,000 kilometers. That's what we have to always keep at the back of our mind.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. When we think we can't do something, just think of the monarch butterfly and what they go through.
Exactly.
So
can you talk a little bit about Camp Kawartha, because they're an important element to the piece of the puzzle, and
yeah,
let's chat about that for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that we can have this date on July 25th, or is it? Anyway, it's a Sunday, with all the relay runners at Camp Kawartha. Because it's a relay, the relay runners don't get to meet each other like at a race. And so I thought it would be really beautiful to have this one day at Camp Kawartha, and we can have a big celebration and just meet each other and get to know who we are for that one day. So Camp Kawartha is a nature camp, and this is their 100th year of serving the community of Canada. And they provide some really cool nature and outdoor activities and programs. And, you know, they have such a holistic approach to nature education that I just thought that they would be a great partner for the Monarch Ultra, and also that all of the fundraising that happens through the Monarch Ultra and the Monarch Ultra the virtual 10K, go to Camp Kawartha for many reasons. The first is last year for COVID, they were hit really badly because all the camps were closed. Mm-hmm. So, you know, financially they didn't do too well. But also, you know, when we think of ourselves as ultra runners, as adults, we're all trying to learn how to be better people, how to be better runners, how to be better earth protectors. But also it's our children that we're also trying to teach how to be better stewards of the earth. And so that's what Camp Kawartha does. You know, they teach children, but also in a way, or they teach children how to protect nature, but also how to have a deep connection with it. And so when I was thinking about who we could fundraise for, it just made sense because, you know, because of their relationship with nature, and specifically for providing these great programs for children. And so I just thought that that's an important key, you know, is education, but education for youth. And so far, I think we've raised over $3,000 through the relay run, and then over $1,000 through the virtual run. So my goal, or I hope that we can raise $10,000 in total, which I know we can do. I mean, the relay runners, the virtual participants just need to really promote it through their networks, and we'll get there.
So tell everyone how they can either get involved, whether participating in the relay, participating in the virtual, or donating.
Okay. Well, the first thing is visit the Monarch Ultra website, which is themonarchultra.com. And on there, you will be able to see the links for the virtual 10K or the relay run. or go to GottaRunRacing.com and you'll see the links for the virtual 10K. Or you can just visit Race Roster or do a quick Google search for Monarch Ultra or Monarch Ultra Virtual, and you'll find the link. You can also go to our social media, which is the Monarch Ultra. I don't remember, _, exclamation. You'll find it. And you will find information on there on how to register. And then once you go to Race Roster for either the virtual or the relay run, the fundraising aspect to donate is on there as well. So you can just donate to a participant or just donate. Another way to get involved is we need volunteers. We need people to help at the aid stations. So contact us at themonarchultra@gmail.com. Send us an email. I'll probably respond 1 week later because I'm working 12-hour days right now, but I'll respond and, I'll send you the route, and you can come and cheer on the runners. We want you to dress in costumes, put on your coolest outfits, paint your face, invite your friends, invite the mayor, tell everybody you know about it. Why? Because we're running really long distances. We're trying to make noise. We want people to feel inspired. So yeah, and we want as many people to come out.
Yes. Yeah, we haven't even mentioned when it's happening.
When is this run?
Okay, sometime in the future. No, it's happening September 19th. We leave Peterborough, Ontario. And then from there, we run to Toronto and then Hamilton, St. Catharines, Niagara Falls. And then we loop down along Lake Erie all the way to Windsor. And then we loop back up towards London, Cambridge, Waterloo. And then we end in Barrie, Ontario on October 9th. And Barrie, Ontario is throwing us a big party, which we're so excited about. We love you, Barrie. So those are the dates. September 19th to October 9th. This is going to be the event of the year. Yes.
And you need you need 20 more runners for the relay, and we need
370 more for the virtual,
which represents the complete Monarch.
Well, what we're looking for is 430 runners total for the virtual to run 10K each, which represents the entire migration route for the Monarchs.
There you go.
And we're gonna track those butterflies and make it happen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I love your bandana, your buff. It's so cool. Tell me, is that going to all the racers, the runners, the virtual participants?
It sure is. So all the relay and the virtual participants will receive a 2-sided butterfly medal. Wow.
That's so beautiful.
And the bib that matches as well. So we've stepped it up a little bit this year to get people excited about crossing their finish line, wherever their finish line is.
Yeah. It could be Hawaii. Didn't you say someone from Hawaii?
Yes. So excited. And PEI. Which is awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so awesome.
Thank you so much for your time today. I know you've been working so hard, both on the Monarch and your day job. So we appreciate your efforts, but we'll keep pumping out information about the Monarch, and you'll have to share the podcast with the group as well so that people can listen and watch and share and get it bigger and bigger and bigger.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Thank you for...
I forgot. I'm sorry. We always end our podcast with a little rapid fire questions. It's just kind of a fun little questionnaire to get to know you better. So I'm going to ask you.
Thank you for inviting me too.
Absolutely. All right. So let's hit it. 80s or 90s music?
80s.
Yes. Beer or wine?
Wine.
Have you lost a toenail from running?
Yes. It was gruesome.
Do you have any tattoos?
4.
Are any of them butterflies?
Or Monarch?
No.
Not yet, eh?
Not yet. Maybe. I think Clay Williams and I are supposed to get one together.
I was going to say I might want to jump in on that at some point.
Okay. But we're going to wait to go to Mexico to do it there because there's some amazing Mexican tattoo artists and have like El Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead somehow in that tattoo.
Cool. What's another sport you'd like to excel in?
Other than running?
That's a good question. Oh, tennis. I just learned tennis and I love it.
Wow.
Yeah, that is a whole other conversation.
Yeah, we'll get into that when we're on the relay for sure. We've got stories.
Let's bring tennis rackets. Okay. Let's bring tennis rackets.
Okay, let's do it. Favorite junk food?
This popcorn it's got like white powder on it.
White
do you guys know
cheddar?
this stuff? Yes.
Yeah. Smart food.
One.
Oh my gosh.
Smart food. Yeah. It makes me smarter when I eat it.
Of course it does. What a smart name, eh? Marketing genius.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you could get on a plane tomorrow, where would you go?
Portugal.
Ooh. Have you been?
No.
Okay.
But I've heard that the food is really wonderful. There's great trails. You can bike. You can run. The ocean's right there. And I love Portuguese. So,
yeah. So what's your favorite podcast you like to listen to?
GottaRunRacing, y'all.
That was a terrible plug. All right. Well, thanks again. Get back to your family.
Thank you, Jody and Norm, for inviting me. This was super duper special and it meant a lot. So thank you
so much for your time.
Thank you for being on the podcast.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Probably.
Bye. Wow, I'll tell you something. I'm going to tell you something.
Tell me, Norm.
I knew nothing about the monarch butterfly before you came to me 2 years ago and said, hey, let's go to Austin and let's run 50K to do this Monarch Ultra relay run.
That's right.
And I said, what's a monarch? It's our butterfly, you idiot. And then, what? Now I know a lot about the monarch butterfly and the migration and everything else.
I know. They're pretty fascinating.
See, there you go. So this is what Carlotta is doing.
Yes.
And it works because I was one of those people who are just ignorant to the whole thing.
I think once you learn a few things about them, it makes you more interested to learn more because there's such a feat of nature, you know, and it's mind-boggling.
And I found out that their migration is the 9th longest
in the animal world?
In the animal kingdom, the 9th longest.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be the longest, but no.
There's others.
There's more.
But hey, top 10.
Yeah, not bad.
Top
not
10.
bad.
So every time you're driving and you hit one and it's on your
Oh.
you're thinking, oh no. No. Anyway.
That's terrible.
Well, there you go.
But if you want to get involved, then you can sign up for the relay if you're an ultra runner, or you can sign up for the virtual 10K.
At GottaRunRacing.com.
That's right. And support the cause.
Check us out. Cheers.